Prince Harry has lost his landmark legal case over whether details of his visa should be disclosed in the United States of America. This is really a huge blow which could lead to his deportation. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Please do support the Patriot Fund. The link is in the description to PayPal. It is paying for a national tour of the United Kingdom so I can talk to people, activists across the country and set out our way of thinking and hopefully visit a town near you. Okay, so Judge Nichols has changed his mind. He previously ruled that Prince Harry's visa application didn't need to go public because there was no public interest. But now he's decided that the Freedom of Information Act request by the Heritage Foundation needed to be supported, and indeed the disclosure will need to happen before the 15th of March. Just to recap on precisely what has taken place. Obviously, Prince Harry left the British royal family and briefly moved to Canada. I don't know why we didn't make him Governor General, but okay, fine. Then he moved to California, to this Scarface mansion with Meghan Markle. Now, he applied for a visa. In general terms, if you admit to using Class A drugs, you're not allowed a visa into the United States of America. Also, if you lie on your visa application, you're not allowed into the United States of America. And obviously, Prince Harry applied for a visa and was granted a visa. And then in his book Spur, admitted to using cocaine, marijuana and magic mushrooms. Now, the reality is, it's unclear as to how he managed to get a visa. Was he given preferential treatment because he was a British prince? Sounds a bit odd to me, but possible. Or did he simply lie on the visa application and not mention his previous drug use? And of course, the guys in the United States of America, they're not going to assume that he's used drugs, are they? Simply because he's a former army officer, member of the royal family, etc. It's not something you'd naturally assume, I would suggest. Anyway, well, it's been a bit of an odd journey, this, and I'll tell you why it's been an odd journey, simply because President Donald Trump actually, much as he doesn't like Meghan Markle and much as he's been fairly belligerent on a number of subjects, has actually been quite nice to Prince Harry. All he said was, good luck to him, he'll need it, married to her, which was fairly cutting. But actually, on every occasion that he's been asked about deporting Prince Harry, he's said no. Well, J.D. Vance was asked as well, and he said no. And he's even more belligerent than Donald Trump. But that may not matter. The reason is because if this visa application is published and it says that Prince Harry didn't admit to drug use, then he will either have to admit to lying on the visa or say that he lied in the book. I would argue he'd be better saying he lied in the book, simply because at least that's not going to constitute a criminal offence. But then on the other hand, if he admitted to it and was let in anyway, it raises very real questions about the previous Democrat administration and whether they're actually enforcing the law. Because whilst it's not, no immigration rule is absolutely hard and fast, is it? There's very often point systems and all that sort of thing. But somebody who admits to using hard drugs, in general terms, ought never to be allowed into the United States, or at least that's the understanding of the American public. We will see what happens. I think Donald Trump will be particularly reluctant simply because he really, really likes the royal family. And frankly, I think he'd quite like a peerage, if I'm being totally honest. Can you imagine if we made him the Duke of New York? I've said this before. We could make him the Duke of New York, Viscount Queens, and the Earl of Manhattan, or something like that, which would be quite funny. But obviously, he doesn't want to upset the royal family, particularly ahead of that big state visit, which he's the only person, I think, ever to have been granted 2 state visits. And that reflects the fact that he really is a supporter of the United Kingdom. Now, of course, I'm going to talk in another video about the trade wars between the UK and the United States of America, but I don't hold Donald Trump responsible for that. And so I guess, where are we up to? Well, Prince Harry, in reality, has made a great deal of a fair number of mistakes, but I have to say, I think like most people, I hold her responsible for what has taken place. She's somebody who's broken up that family, and I'm always very suspicious of Meghan, and I'll tell you why. When you meet people in life, particularly women who have no friends from school, who are estranged from their parents, who don't like their siblings, whose ex-partners all hate them, and they just don't seem to have any friends. Even the Mulrooneys, who were the page boys. Do you remember those amazed page boys? They're not speaking to her anymore. Doria Ragland, her mother, who came over and initially lived in Frogmore Cottage with the couple, she left fairly quickly afterwards as well. And I don't know whether they're estranged, but that relationship seems to be a bit off. And you start to think to yourself, well, okay, why is it that everyone that this person associates with, she suddenly, has a falling out with? We've got a lady who works at Talk called Lizzie Cundy. Lizzie Cundy was very close to Meghan Markle. When Meghan first came to the United Kingdom, she said she'd like to find a trophy husband, quote unquote, to Lizzie Cundy. But then now she's just completely ghosted her and doesn't speak to her at all. It's just very odd that. I would suggest that is something that suggests some sort of narcissism, that suggests some sort of nastiness, some sort of problem with her personality. I mean, she's not even speaking to her own father, despite him begging on multiple occasions. She's somebody who has constantly sought to go up the ladder. She's constantly sought to advance herself. This nickname that she's received of Meghan Markle. Apparently, she gets her staff when they tweet out Meghan. She goes, no, you have to put the Duchess of Sussex. Ugh, pathetic. And of course, the other thing, and I make this a final point, is about titles. And I want you just to understand the thing about titles, right? It's really easy to understand. All the grandchildren of the monarch are princes and princesses. Yes, as long as they go through the male line. However, that rule was slightly changed. Basically, the direct heir to the throne, that is, the Prince of Wales and the Prince of Wales children and the children of the Prince of Wales children, all now are allowed to be prince and princesses. The reason is they didn't want Prince George born as a commoner and later become king. Wouldn't have bothered me. But okay, so what that means is that whilst Elizabeth II is alive, Archie and Lilibet are not prince and princesses, but when she dies, they will be, because then they'll be the grandchild of Charles III. Got it? Okay, there is another rule that if your dad has multiple peerages, then you can use the second peerage if you're the son, and the third peerage if you're the grandson, and the fourth peerage if you're the great-grandson. What always happens in Britain is that they will give a member of the royal family a dukedom in England, Duke of Sussex, then an earldom in Scotland, in this case Earl of Dumbarton, and then a barony in Northern Ireland. I think it's Baron Kilkeel. I might be wrong in the case of Harry. So what that means is when Archie was born, he could have used the title Earl of Dumbarton or Earl Dumbarton. Meghan Markle turned round and said that instead of being given a princedom, because he was black, and bear in mind he's ginger, right? But she said because he's black, they've deliberately given him a title that has dumb in it as an insult to him, right? I mean, that's garbage. First of all, if you see a picture of the kid, he's got ginger hair and white skin, so he's not black. But also, he was not given the title Earl Dumbarton. She is already the Countess of Dumbarton. Her husband is the Earl of Dumbarton. She would have known this. And therefore, she's accusing the British royal family of insulting her son and racism when she knew that wasn't true. Please do donate to the Patriot Fund below. We've almost got the first event fully funded. And of course, I'm really looking forward to this tour around the country. Also, the Patriot Fund is going to fund other right-wing patriotic causes, things like giving out leaflets, things like phoning up people to support political candidates, all those sorts of things. Please do click on the link below. Until next time, goodbye.